They will be well paid and well protected, but they'll also be watched and fired or imprisoned if they abuse their charge. That's the officer. So now they have this tremendous power to tell you exactly what you have to do, and you have to do it, or it becomes a felony. And being a felony, they lose their citizens' rights. They lose the right to anything. The recording officer has it recorded that they were told not to say anything, and they did. They were told to stay in the car, and they didn't, and so on and so forth. So pretty obvious that they're at fault, and they were taken down, and they were, whatever was needed. They were tasered, or perhaps shot, or perhaps killed. And at the beginning of that thing, as it's instituted after, using whatever advertising means now for the proper use, they end up with billboards that say if the police tells you to do something, you have to do it, or you committed a felony. You're learning in school the same thing. If you don't do exactly what the officer says, and you have to get the picture. It isn't some wacky police officer that's tougher than you, maybe, or maybe you're tougher than him or her, but it's us. It's the citizens of this country that have pulled you over and said, put your hands on the steering wheel. Don't say a word. Boy, let me tell you, I can't tell you how bad it would be if you don't do what you're told. It's just, and it's time. I don't understand why isn't it time? It's time. So now we move to the police, state police. Now you understand they're called state police officers now. They're not called cops. I'm sure that'll come up here somewhere, but state police equipment. The equipment for the state police will consist of you already had, oh my God, those police officers are going to, and you'll say, those police officers will say, what are they going to do? What are the police officers going to do that's bad? They're going to tell you to shut up. And you better shut up. But you have to talk. You're a good for nothing cop, and let me tell you something. You better learn not to talk. That's the way it is. That's the power that they have. If they tell you to get out of the car, you get out of the car. If they tell you to lay down on the ground, you lay down on the ground. And if they tell you to put the hands above your head, or whatever they tell you, you do it. Okay, so now we're talking about, okay, then what is the equipment the state police have that it's going to be different, because the first part's different. Everybody that complains about it, what's your complaint? It's being recorded. If the officer does anything wrong, it's recorded. You're for the first time in your life, you can say he did this, and you got proof, and he has no way to get out from under it. So, that's what you wanted. That's what you demand. Black Lives Matter. That's what you've asked for. But you have the education that you don't talk back to us. And us, we're black, we're white, we're Mexican, we're Spanish, we're, Chinese, we're Japanese, we're whatever country that we come from. That's who we are. You can't pin it on you're not going to see only the big white cop. You don't even see that now. Okay, so what is the understanding that you have no complaints? You've got a protection, a real good protection. You got the thing recorded. We know exactly what happened, and it shows right here exactly what happened. So things are going to change. And one of the first things that's going to change is that the police officer, will be protected, will not be getting shot. Okay, so what is the equipment that they have then? They have state police have a paintball gun, which I'm sure you're going to have a hard time with at the beginning. Something like a stun gun, which will stop any resistance but not kill the resistor, and a gun that'll stop for sure and even kill a resistor, stop them for sure. What did they say? 3 things: paintball gun, stun gun, and a gun that'll kill you. Now, everybody's going to jump up and down and say, Okay, I can understand the second and the third, but what in the world are you going to do with a paintball gun? And everybody, no, that's a ridiculous thing. You're going to tell me you're going to have these important officers walking around with a paintball gun? I mean, come on. For kids, well, but they aren't stupid. They're trying to tell you a new way to do things. The police are, this is not a joke, but a real change in tactic for the police. What do they mean? The police are now there to try to de-escalate any situation. If that is not possible because the person or persons will not cooperate, the best, kill them. No. What they're trying to give them a stun shot. That'll straighten. No, that is not what we're doing. That's not what we're. What did we say? We're trying to de-escalate the situation. How are you going to de-escalate the situation? If it's not possible any other way, and the person will not cooperate, will not shut up, will not stand still, will not put their hands behind their back, you paintball them and shoot them with a paintball and turn away. That is, of course, understanding that they won't do any danger to anybody else. Or the threat level that they created is not going to get worse when you leave. To turn away should remove the confrontation part of the conflict. Two things happen. The second that non-cooperative person is paintballed. First, he or she will know that he or she has just committed a felony because he or she did not do what the police asked. The second thing is the SWAT team has just been called into action, and no one ever wants to be, deal with a SWAT team. Nobody just they pull up and they get out of the car and you take one look at them and you say, oh, okay, I'm down on the ground because I don't want to deal with the those SWAT team people. They just look bad. So that's good. The second thing is the SWAT team is called into action. No one ever wants to have that happen to him or her. Now you and the person who has been paintballed with the legal color understand that the public has been asked to join in to the action by calling police and reporting the whereabouts of any person so painted. We have a specific color that you're paintballed with, and you're paintballed. And what they've done is they've changed it so that now with the new police force, we have the new phone banks. And when you call the police, somebody answers immediately and takes the information immediately. And I don't care how many, if you have to have 1,000 phones or 10,000 phones, you will have those phones because that's part of the program. That person's been paintballed and the police turn around and walk away. Okay. What happens? Number one, most likely the person will surrender immediately. Because they don't want to deal with a SWAT team. Nobody wants to deal with a SWAT team. But let's just say they don't surrender. They're high on drugs or something, and they can't handle it. And they just are crazy, and they keep right on fighting. So what happens there? The second thing is that the SWAT team comes, and believe me, when the SWAT team comes, you're done. But the new thing is the citizens of the country, you and me, if we see somebody that has been paintballed with that specific color that only the police are allowed to use and is absolutely discernible from any other color unless you're colorblind, of course. But if you've been paintballed with that legal color, the public has been asked to join the action by calling the police and telling the police anytime they figure out or see or whatever, the person has been painted. I saw the person go into this building. I saw the person walking down the street. I saw, where are they? And I don't care when you call, the police officers, the place where the 911 call comes in, they'll have somebody there to answer the phone no matter what. We had 10,000 calls. I don't care if you have 20,000 calls. You will have enough phones to answer when somebody calls. And why are we doing that? Because nobody wants to sit there and wait while something else is going on. They're going to, to hell with it. I'm not going to call. I don't care. No, we don't want that. We want them to Well, if you want to get down to the basic fundamental thing, the fundamental thing is you are our employer, and you will be. We will answer the phone when you call. I mean, come on. That's what it is. That's really what it is. That finally we're getting to the point where the people who are just the general citizens are paid attention to. They're respected. So we had to have plenty of phone lines available. The SWAT team is on the move, and they're close enough so that we're minutes away. And that's another thing that you may have to pay for. SWAT teams, they may be working, and all, like the volunteer fire department, they're working, and then all of a sudden they're called. When they're called, they can immediately go to their car, grab their whatever they have to have for equipment, and go there. So you can have SWAT team very close to within minutes of any situation that's going on. Now here's another thing they're doing, which is really weird. The use of a paintball gun that's mounted on the outside of every SWAT car can also eliminate dangerous police chases that are now being used. Everyone who sees a paint car or vehicle will be able to call immediately and report the position of that vehicle. Again, public participation is an excellent thing. Of course, that color or any color that can confuse her that color will be illegal for the general citizens to have or use. Anyone who thinks it's funny to get somebody in trouble will find the joke on him or her. If you use a paint gun color close to the police paint gun color and they find out who you are, you will be arrested. Not funny, because you might end up getting that guy killed. Now you got that clear. Do you clear understand they got a paint gun that's outside the police car that can shoot the car that they're talking about. The second that car has that color paint on it, people start calling in and telling you where the car is. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to do 100 miles an hour through a city. You can turn around and go away. The SWAT team is called. The SWAT team has immediate information of where that car is, and the SWAT team gets them. Why? Because they didn't follow the order of the police officer. Lights on, the siren, they don't pull over. That's a felony. They could lose their life. And here you are having all these general citizens reporting you. And the citizens, see, one of the keys to that is that the citizen is no longer on your side or on the police side. The citizen is on the police side, period. Why? Because we've given them the right to call us and tell us where this person is. So now they're part of the police, whatever you want to call it. They're part of the police system. If a person does not stop with the do not kill gun, if the person does not stop with the do not kill gun, the gun that will for sure stop and put down the same person will also be the state-of-the-art weapon. It'll do the job with one shot. What do they say there? If for some reason the stun gun doesn't stop you, and you're in a situation where you've got to stop this person because he's going to kill somebody else or you, and you remember we're talking about police equipment here, you will have a gun that will, if you hit his hand, stop him. So you understand? One shot, put him down. There are guns that are big enough so that one shot hitting, if you hit a person's hand, he'll hit the ground. He'll drop, totally incapacitated. They'll whatever you have to have. I'm sitting here listening to them say, you got to have a 44 mag, super mag that'll put them down no matter what. I don't know what they're going to have. I don't know what the equipment will be, 2 years from now. I don't know what the equipment will be 10 years from now. But whatever they have, one shot puts them down. That's the third weapon. That's the piece of equipment they have. So you got a stun gun that should be taser gun, stun gun of some kind that should shut them down if they're coming toward you or they're doing something where they have to be stopped. They might get paintballed and people walk away. How in the hell are you going to fight a cop who turns around and walks? Sorry, see, even I'm in that. How are you going to get mad at a state police officer who turns around and walks away? 3-man team recording, they turn around and walk away. You know, what you have is those present 250-pound tough guys that are just not there except in the SWAT team. But let me tell you, in the SWAT team, they're trained to bring any situation under control with as little fuss and danger to anybody else as possible. The old smash down the door and storm through the house is gone, and the much wiser approach is now expected. What are they saying? You can wait until a person comes out of the house. You can wait until there's nobody around except him or her, and then you can say stop, and there's a felony if they don't. And where's the breaking down the door? And well, they love that. They will smash down the door and storm into the house and lay down, put your hands behind your back, clear. You've seen it all. It's exciting. Screw it. Doesn't matter. Put an end to it. It's dominion. What we really want is we want safety. So, focus on what it is we really want. They need to bring the situation under control with whatever they have to use. If they have to use lethal force, any person who comes to that point knows that fact. The SWAT team, now we're talking about the SWAT team all of a sudden. By the way, we're talking about the SWAT team here, not the equipment. So the SWAT team is designed, it could be the same big tough police officers, but they're trained to do it differently. They're trained to say, how can we take this guy down safely, or this girl, or this person? So the first part of it always is that they look like you're going to lose the fight no matter how many you have and no matter what, the SWAT team's going to win. So that's the first thing. But then they go on, they know how to put a person down physically if you have to, and they, the karate or the jujitsu or they're trained. They're trained. They have the equipment they need, a paintball gun, which is, it sounds so rinky-dink and so wimpy, but believe me, it will work, and it will. And all of a sudden, you've got phone calls from people. You know exactly where the person is, exactly what the person's doing. The SWAT team has that information. Oh, so much safer. Maybe not as exciting as some of these exciting junkies want, but then they're fired. So what difference does it make? They're not even in the office anymore. So we at this time have police who have rules of engagement that are totally insane in almost every area of their work. They have professional people who are there to outguess them at every move and outguess them after the crime has been committed and the arrest has been made, by the way. Not at the tense situation where somebody's pointing a gun at you. And those people that are professionals let those arrested criminals be set free. We're talking about lawyers. We have it right now. We're talking about what we have right now as a system. We have a system that allows greedy overchargers to get away with all manner of crimes and be set free. The poor are not defended, and anyone who is arrested can wait years to have their case come to trial. And it is a system for the overchargers, run by the overchargers, and paid for by the overchargers, much like the gunslingers' ability to own a town and its laws. We have put a stop to this game. We have to put a stop to this game and get back to the reason why we hired or formed the police force in the first place. What do we need a police force for? So we have the maximum amount of the ability to do whatever we want, and we're safe. And that's what they're hired for, and that's what they need to do. We said the legal system in this country is supposed to give our citizens as much freedom as possible and still prevent anyone from interfering with that freedom. That's the key, and that's the crime prevention group is, taught. Okay, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. The new officers are sit down. We have to make you understand once again, this country, the citizens of this country have to have as much freedom as possible, but you still have to prevent anybody from interfering with that freedom, and then they go out and go to work over and over, day after day. So what's the focus? I don't know what the focus is really going to be. It's up to the crime prevention group, but that's their focus, is to get the police officers in the mode where they do what they have to do. That is a balancing act that can plainly be seen. This keeping us safe but stay out of our way sort of thing. I mean, that's really a balancing act. But you don't have. You do have very intelligent police officers making the decisions. We've got to make sure that people are safe and stay out of their way, because we can bring the crime over to here where there's nobody and get the guys. Your focus is totally, we're going to get them no matter what. We're going to bust the door down and no, baloney. Get rid of that kind of a way of thinking and think of preventing a crime, number one, and shutting the guy down immediately, number two. And you don't have just general people trying to shut down the criminal. You've got the people that are SWAT teaming. They're trained and they know how to do it. So we have now hinted that there will be changes in the power of the police, and now it is time to go into that area. This is the big change. We suggested that any order given by the legal 3-person police team be obeyed no matter what the command. That means you do exactly what you're ordered to do, and that includes not talking or moving if that's what's ordered. That gives the officers the ability to control any situation, or at least know when it's out of control and be able to use the amount of force needed to get it back in control. That means that anyone who comes into contact with a legal officer team, that's a 3-man team, and does not do as commanded, can be forced to do exactly as commanded. What does that mean? It means exactly what it says. You will do what the legal 3-man team police officers tell you to do, or you'll be forced to do it, or you might obviously have them walk away or be paintball, but you really don't want that. I mean, you just don't want to deal with the SWAT team. So they can also take you right then and there if that's what needs to be done, and you might get killed. And for what? For opening your mouth when they told you not to open it. You see what we're saying? That's a big change. That means that the officers have the right to use whatever force is needed to accomplish the goal or the order. What does that mean? It means that is a law that you, any person, and we're talking about any person, if given the command by a legal police team, must follow that command no matter what the command is. No matter what the command is. And you say, well, they're going to abuse. How are they going to abuse it? They got a 3rd man recording everything. They got a crime prevention group that's above them that'll fire them or put them in jail for abusing. How are they going to abuse? What are you thinking? You're thinking the way it is today. I agree. The way it is today, it wouldn't work, but we're changing it. It isn't going to be the way it is today. Failure to follow command can place you in a position of committing a felony, even though you've have nothing to do with the crime being investigated. Now, what are they talking about there? I'm going to tell you what they're talking about there. You have a situation where something happens and you got a crowd of people that are really angry at what it is that they think you're doing. And since you're being recorded, you're probably not doing it. But anyway, they think you're doing something bad, like for instance, shooting an unarmed black man, just as an example. And they're screaming and hollering at you. The police officer has to look at each one of them or all of them and say, do not say one more word, turn around and leave. Now, do you understand what happens at that point? See, people don't get it. They just don't see the thing. What you have happen is everybody turns around, shuts up, and leaves. That's what happens. If it doesn't happen, they can get killed because it's a felony not to do what the police officer says. So what do you have? You have a situation where you've seen it on television. You know what we're talking about. It doesn't happen. You leave. Turn around and leave. You have to. So, you get to the point where you begin to realize, oh, you know what's going to go. Oh, I mean, okay, now you understand what it is that a police officer can do. Now understand that you have to be taught that they're going to do that. And there are so many people that have been raised to believe that the greedy overchargers have whatever the greedy overchargers have taught them. And one of the major teachings is that discipline is bad. What a joke. However, the teaching does support the buying of things and thus the money into the overcharger's pocket. Understand the first step to change. What did they say? I hate to stop here, but I'm going to stop here anyway. The discipline is bad. That's what the overchargers have taught you. What do you mean discipline is bad? Well, if you have to come in the store and you have to buy, then your ability to discipline yourself not to buy it is not what we want. Okay? So, discipline is bad. No, it's not. What a joke. It is not bad. One of the things they said in the discussion that we've had is that the inability to have any discipline gives you the inability to make choices. The ability to discipline yourself gives you new choices. Now, that sounds weird because obviously a person who's not disciplined just makes all kinds of choices, but that's the point. The person makes all kinds of choices and they aren't anything that what do you want? I've been advertised to, I don't get what I want, I just have to do what I'm told. Well, discipline. So, first step then is to change that advertising lie to all of us, and that will begin with a massive education process to the general populace and a massive education process to the officer who will be making those controlled decisions. So, you can see that everyone will know just what to expect of him or her before the new system is put into place. However, all the cries of unfair or cruelty from the do-gooders and the like must be ignored because we have to have that policy if we want to stop crime and put an end to the greedy overchargers' control of our life. Right now, the greedy overchargers want the absolute insanity of a loudmouth man or woman standing right in front of an officer's face, swearing at him or her, and not obeying any order. That's the thing that you see right now. Now picture yourself as that officer. That is absolute insanity that they are and have been demanding from us and our police officers forever. Why? If you or I really had the job of keeping the peace and we're out there on the street facing some of those loudmouth people who absolutely have no respect for you and you were armed, what would you do? But no, you cannot do that. Even if your life is in danger, there's situations where you can't do that. Of course, if he draws a weapon or shows a weapon, you might be able to, but then everybody hollers. See, everybody hollers. I went up to, three-man team went up and the guy pulled a knife. Okay, now everybody hollers, oh, the guy only had a knife and you had guns. But you see, it's a felony to not do what you're told by an officer. It's insanity to have it the way it is now. It's if you mean tell me that you think that the police officer who is testosterone full 250-pound tough guy is going to stand there and let some person call him a rotten pig to his face right there in front of him and then pulls a knife, you think that person is going to, his first instinct is going to be to shoot, and you say you can't shoot. You have to think about it and make darn sure that no matter what, when the push comes to shove, that you're found to be defending yourself. What a bunch of bull. It's insane that you allow that. The whole thing is insane. We're going to just change it. You're going to do what you're told, or you're going to get you ended up with a felony, and you're going to be in deep doo doo, and you really don't want to be there. So now we'll go on with the concept as we go along. We will go on with this concept as we go along because it's so ridiculous to have allowed it to go on. We will do whatever it takes to in the end, to see that everybody in the United States understands the new concept. That will leave no excuse other than outright dismissal of our right to make and enforce laws. That will leave no excuse except the outright dismissal of our right to make or enforce laws. If you come to the conclusion that we don't have the right to make laws and enforce them, then you're going to have what you consider an excuse just before you die, or before you're paintballed or stunned. If you understand that you may be killed if you do not follow the orders given by the legal 3-man woman team, who in the world's going to ignore the command? And that's the way it should be. See, that's what you understand it. To add the respect given to us as a police officer, the term cop, pig, bear, and that type of derogatory terminology will not be used by the media or anyone else anymore. What are they saying? You will give us respect. And us is us. That badge says it's us. Not some police officer that you can, it's us. You beat that police officer, you beat us. You're not going to get away with that. There's too many of us. There's way too many of us. So, in the news media, obviously, if we got the People's Trust News, it won't be there. But in the entertainment news media, they call them cops. I don't think so. Not anymore. Pigs, bears, nope. State police officers. In the movies, in the sitcoms, in those situations, no, can't do that. Police officers, yes sir, whatever you say, sir, that's what you will do. That's what you will show. It'll be a law. We're trying to suggest that the police be given the chance to live and do their job in a safe and reasonable manner by having the right to control those who come into contact with them. They must also have every bit of whatever technology is up to date and reasonable in equipment that they use. And I would repeat that again. Whatever technology is up to date and reasonable. Why do we emphasize that twice? You know what's going to happen. Well, we got this budget thing, and we couldn't give them so they got BB guns instead of real guns. And no, you will give them what it is that they need, and we'll pay for it and be happy to do it because the crime is down to 20% of what it used to be. And those are just, you know who they are. The other people have enough brains to realize we're not going to get away with this anymore. So the money being available and out of the hands of the greed overcharges, we can afford to make all these things possible. We're trying to suggest that a police team up. We are trying to suggest that the police team up, 3-man team. That's weird. We're trying to suggest that the police team of. We're trying to suggest that the police team, the 3-man team, becomes safer as they do their job. In other words, we're not going to let them stand out there and take shots at them until they get hit, and then they can shoot back. Because if they've been hit, you know that somebody else is shooting at them. No, that's ridiculous. It's the confrontational games are now allowed in our society, must be stopped, and a safer and more mature manner of police interaction be instituted. We're saying it is time for the society to grow up. Our society, grow up. Get rid of the advertising that's told you the things that they've told you, and take her step by step and see just what happens when you do it the right way. So what happens? The police system has changed as outlined in Book 4. Just to make it clear, we must say that all of this is to make much less crime and still have little interference in our lives as possible while doing just that. That being the case, let us add, for your understanding, the use and duties of the police. Now, what are they going to do? They'll tell you what the use and duty of the police are.